Senator Marco Rubio of Florida and former Florida Governor Jeb Bush. Let me begin with Rubio. In Thursday's Republican debate, he took on Ted Cruz directly, accusing him of serially changing his positions.
Ted Cruz, you used to say you supported doubling the number of green cards. Now you say that you're against it. You used to support a 500% increase in the number of guest workers. Now you say that you're against it. You used to support legalizing people that were here illegally. Now you say you're against it. You used to say that you were in favor of birthright citizenship. Now you say that you are against it. And by the way, it's not just on immigration. You used to support TPA. Now you say you're against it. I saw you on the Senate floor flip your vote on crop insurance because they told you it would help you in Iowa. And last week we all saw you flip your vote on ethanol in Iowa for the same reason. That is not consistent conservatism. That is political calculation.
So last night I began by asking Rubio whether he wasn't also guilty of changing his positions many times, particularly on immigration.
If circumstances change or you learn something along the way, it's reasonable to say maybe a different approach will work better. So for example, on immigration, it is clear no comprehensive solution to immigration is going to pass. But don't go around pretending that you never do. And certainly don't go around pretending and telling everyone like Ted Cruz does that he is the only consistent conservative running for president. The fact of the matter is that Ted has shown a propensity throughout his career in the U.S. Senate to take one position in front of one audience and then change his position in front of another. So he raises money in New York and then criticizes New York values. On the policy issues, he used to be in favor of legalizing people that are here illegally, and he said so in front of one audience, but then he portrays this sort of notion that he's the harshest and hardest when it comes to that issue. That's not been his record. And if you recall, that was in response to an attack from him in the debate, and I think it's important to point out that on the issue he was attacking me on, his record used to be something very different than what he makes it sound like.
Let me ask you, by the way, quickly on the 11 million. Are you still for finding a way for them to legally stay in the United States?
Yeah, look, if you're a criminal alien, no, you can't stay. If you're someone that hasn't been here for a very long time, you can't stay.
Wait a minute.
I
Define criminal alien.
We have to have a reasonable solution.
Define criminal alien. Isn't anybody who's here illegal? Okay, so not because some people argue
immigration law, right? I mean, obviously,
okay,
but no, but I've said that before, Todd. That's been convinced. I mean, a felon, someone who's committed a crime, a non-immigration related, obviously, and that's what I've talked about in the past. So I do believe. I don't think you're going to round up and deport 12 million people. Here's what I've said, though. It is very clear now more than ever that we are not going to be able to do anything on people that are here illegally until we first prove to people that illegal immigration is under control and America is safe. And ISIS poses a very unique threat, unlike anything we have faced in the past.
Very quickly, you brought up Ted Cruz and his use of the phrase New York values. What does that phrase mean to you?
I've never used that phrase. I think we're all Americans. I'm campaigning on behalf of American values. And I don't seek to divide people against each other. That's the problem we have with the current president. I think the bigger problem is Ted has raised a lot of money out of New York. He didn't say that when he was there raising money. He says that in one state and then says something different in another. And he's time and again, it's proven the sort of level of political calculation that voters are only starting to find out about now as the campaign gets deeper and more heated.
And finally, last question, let me talk about the global news of the day having to do with Iran. Do you think these Americans would be coming home if it wasn't for the Iran nuclear deal?
I don't think these Americans should have ever been in prison. They didn't do anything wrong. They're hostages. And so now we have a president that has traded hostages in exchange for prisoners who did commit a crime and were convicted after due process and a trial and everything of that sort. And what the president's now doing, not just with this, but what he did with the Castro brothers and what he did with Bergdahl, is he's put a price on the head of every American abroad. Our enemies now know that if you can capture an American, you can get something meaningful in exchange for it. I'm glad they're coming home. And by the way, the case of Bob Levinson remains unresolved. The Iranians, I believe, know where he is, and they're not cooperating, and it's an outrage. We need to continue to remember about him. But that said, at the end of the day, when I am president, I will repeal the deal with Iran. It will end when I am president. We're going to reimpose sanctions, and if Iran tries to build a nuclear weapon program, we will stop it.
So under President Rubio, you would not have negotiated any sort of prisoner exchange for those 4 American hostages?
When I become president of the United States, our adversaries around the world will know that America is no longer under the command of someone weak like Barack Obama. And it would be like Ronald Reagan, where as soon as he took office, the hostages were released from Iran. We would impose additional sanctions, not just the congressional sanctions now. There would have been
you wouldn't have given Iran anything. On Iran. You wouldn't have given Iran anything, even if it meant that Iran.
We would have gotten them home
without giving them anything.
well, we would have given them sanctions, and they would crippling sanctions. In fact, there would have never been a discussion on these deals until they were released. Iran needs more from us than we need from them. We need to remind ourselves of that. And at the end of the day, these are people that view these sorts of things as weakness. That's why this week they captured our sailors. They tried to humiliate them on video, putting their hands behind their back and putting them on their knees and videotaping them apologizing. That doesn't happen when I'm president, because they will know that we now have a strong president, unlike the weak one that we have now.
Senator Marco Rubio, traveling in Iowa. Stay safe on the trail. Thanks for coming on, sir.
Thank you.